Welcome back once more to the world of Mythgard. In our last episode, we traveled over the golden sands and gleaming towers to take a deeper look at Parsa. While the Empire has its origins rooted in the real world, other factions and sub-factions are much more fantastic. Without anything further, let's dive once again into the Lore Broker's Files. We have seen what happens when an empire binds itself to divine power. But what happens when a coven of witches needs a special military force? The Volkov project is the answer. The witches of Ved'ma have been refining their magical art for centuries, but only recently has the advent of automagic been discovered. While we are not covering automagic in this episode, it is important to know that it is extremely complex and requires an incredible amount of concentration to craft these self-replicating spells. With the need for uninterrupted concentration comes the requirement of an unfettered defense force. Prior to the Volkov project, this job fell solely on the standard military and police forces protecting the Ved'ma. As they perfected automagic, the Ved'ma quickly amassed an incredible amount of resources in the form of wealth, new magic, and limitless application. With this incredible amount of untapped power and a desire to better utilize the Ved'ma flame spars and witch forces, a new project was undertaken. A way to maximize the efficacy of the mundane and ungifted soldiers of the military forces, and so, the Volkov project was born. These original experiments were done just to increase how long patrols and protections could be conducted by single squadrons. Could a single squad function for 2 weeks without rotation? 2 months? Even 6? The witches began manipulating the genes and function of the bodies of volunteers. By combining scientific advancement and applying automagic to the equation, the Ved'ma created the first generation of their Volkov squads. Deriving the synaptic response and endurance of canines into their soldiers is the origin of the name as well. Volk directly translates to wolf, and this combination of wolf and soldier is easily seen in the traits of these super soldiers. While under no stress or action, these soldiers can and do pass as completely human. Once exposed to combat action, they begin to transform, gaining more hybrid and feral features both physically and mentally. Extended teeth and claws, rapid hair growth over much of the body, and extreme strength and durability make hybrid Volkov soldiers exceptionally dangerous. The downside is that as they descend further into the physical transformation, their mental state degrades. Volkov soldiers will chain their weapons to themselves so they do not lose them in the transformation. They will prefer to engage in hand-to-hand combat with opposition and tear them limb from limb, and in some cases, even consume them. To combat these impulses, new Volkov are subjected to rigorous training regimens as squads or packs. Multiple kilometer marches and runs are conducted with several dozen kilograms of supplies on a daily basis. The squads are also isolated from other soldiers and their families, as well as any contact with the outside for extended periods of time to build the bond among them and reduce reliance on others. As the Volkov program is expanded and refined, these dog soldiers are used as forward expeditionary forces, extreme environment peacekeepers, and covert special operations teams. The latter use is exemplified in the after-action reports of Operation Vorpalhammer, which involved the Spec Ops group Fang Alpha 9. Sometime in the early 2010s, the Ved'ma learned of an ancient relic that had resurfaced called Samasek, the Living Sword. Desiring this relic to further automagic advancements, Fang Alpha 9 was dispatched to retrieve it and return it to High Command. While the location and extraction of the relic went off without a hitch, exposure to the latent magic had disastrous effects. During the return to High Command and the subsequent weeks after, the mental state of Fang Alpha 9 members continued to degrade. It became harder and harder for the soldiers to maintain their human forms, and they experienced hallucinations and spikes of extreme aggression, going so far as to have infighting between squad members, which was nearly unheard of in veteran squads. Fang Alpha 9 was ultimately deactivated, and all of the members either killed one another or were executed on orders from High Command due to the inability to control them in their ever-degrading state. The records of Operation Vorpalhammer and the subsequent after-action reports have been sealed under the highest clearances, but it is safe to say that further exploration and refinement of the Volkov project is underway. As it stands, this is everything we know about the Volkov project, why it was started, and what these dog soldiers go through to reach the highest echelons of combat performance. The Drenny faction is ripe with other stories and information as well. In future episodes, we will look at what it means to be a Flamespar elite, how the Ved'ma recruit their witches to covens and Skyranger squads, and maybe even dive into the near limitless life of Koschei the Deathless. I want to thank Team Rankstar and Inked Gaming for continuing to let me delve into the lore and legends of Mythgard. The writing and art direction teams at Rhino Games have shown that you can take a concept as beloved as classic werewolves and give it a fresh, new life in their world. As always, you can reach out to me in the YouTube comments below, on Twitter, Discord, or even Reddit, and let me know what you want to learn about next. If you enjoy these deep dives into the lore, there are a few of us who really enjoy talking about it at all hours in the official Mythgard Discord lore channel as well. If you're lucky, even the devs and writers show up from time to time to set the record straight. Luckily, they've not had to correct me yet. I hope to hear from you, but until then, thank you for taking a journey with me into the Lore Broker's files.